Imagine a group of indigenous people sailing the vast waters in a wooden boat, built with their own hands, carved with dedication and ancestral knowledge. They are men and women with faces weathered by the sun, heirs of traditions passed down from generation to generation. The journey is not new to them. Their ancestors have navigated rivers and coasts, but now they face the challenge of the open sea, a relentless environment that tests their ingenuity and strength. The ship creaks to the rhythm of the waves, moving slowly but steadily. Life on board is austere, marked by discipline and mutual respect. Dawn awakens the crew with a faint light, filtered through the sea mist. With silent movements, they wake the children and organize the day's tasks. Food is a constant concern. Survival depends on their skill in obtaining resources from the sea and their carefully rationed supplies. To eat, they first turn to what they were able to store before setting sail: dried roots, toasted corn, dehydrated fruits, and some cured meats. Corn is a treasure. They grind it and mix it with water to make a simple porridge that provides energy and warmth to tired bodies. The roots, gathered in the jungle before boarding, provide fiber and necessary nutrients. The cured meat, seasoned with salt, extracted from the coasts, withstands the passing days and offers flavor and sustenance. But these reserves are finite, and soon, survival depends on fishing. They use nets woven from plant fibers, casting the lines into the water with patience and wisdom. They know how to read the color of the sea, the movement of the birds, the reflections of the fish beneath the surface. Each catch is celebrated with gratitude, from small silverfish to the occasional larger fish, generous in meat and fat. They clean them skillfully, reserving every part. The meat is roasted over improvised embers or boiled in nutritious broths. The entrails are used for bait. The scales and bones are discarded into the sea. Sometimes they catch crabs and mollusks that cling to the keel of the boat. The children carefully peek over and, amid suppressed laughter, pull off these treasures that become unexpected delicacies. The women, guardians of culinary knowledge, invent broths and stews with what they have, mixing seaweed gathered in shallow waters with the products of the catch. Hunger sharpens ingenuity, and each meal is a lesson in adaptation. Bad weather is their most feared enemy. There are nights when the wind roars fiercely, raising waves that strike the hull and make the ship's structure creak. The rain falls like endless lashes, soaking skins and wood. The cold seeps to the bone, and lightning illuminates the horizon with flashes of ancient power. Those moments test the group's unity. They tightly tie the sails, gather the oars, huddle under blankets woven with thick fibers, and take turns watching to ensure the water does not flood the interior. The chief, a man with a steady gaze, recites prayers to the spirits of the sea, asking for mercy and protection. The children listen silently, clinging to their mothers, learning that survival is a mix of courage, faith, and collective work. When the storm subsides, they celebrate life with soft songs, grateful to have overcome another trial. During the calm days, they take the opportunity to repair nets, dry clothes, and share stories. The elders tell old legends of their lands, of gods who dwell in the depths, and of heroes who crossed impossible seas. These stories nourish the soul as much as the hot broth they share. The community is their strength. Everyone has a role, from the most skilled fisherman to the elderly woman who heals wounds with ointments made from herbs. Fresh water is another vital resource. Before setting sail, they filled large clay jars, sealed with resin and leaves. They ration every sip, aware that the sea does not provide drinking water. When the rain is generous, they spread cloths over the boat to collect every drop, storing it in makeshift containers. Rainwater is a gift, fresh and pure, used to quench thirst and cook. Sometimes, the sea gives them surprises. One day, they spot a school of fish jumping near the surface. Quickly, they cast their nets, and within minutes, catch an abundant haul. That night, they celebrate with a special meal, roasting the largest fish and sharing the feast. Other times, a sea turtle approaches the boat, and with respect, they decide to let it go, remembering the stories that speak of the turtle as a symbol of wisdom and longevity. Nights at sea have their own rhythm. The sky, clear after the storm, reveals a blanket of stars that the natives read like maps. They identify constellations, calculate position and course. The young learn to navigate by the stars, repeating the names of the celestial bodies as if they were old friends. The ocean, though imposing, becomes a temporary home, a space where each day is a lesson in humility and endurance. The journey is long, and the fatigue is felt in the bodies. But they never give up. The hope of reaching solid ground, of reuniting with their loved ones and sharing the stories of the voyage gives them strength to keep going. Day after day, the ship moves forward, driven by the wind, the will, and the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to bow to adversity. This is how the Indians survive on the ship, feeding on what the sea offers, overcoming bad weather with unity and courage, learning from every challenge, fishing with patience and wisdom. Their journey is a testament to the human capacity to adapt, to find hope amidst adversity, and to celebrate life, even in the most hostile environments. The life of the indigenous fishermen, marked by generations of tradition and resilience, is a testament to the deep bond between humans and nature. But it is also a portrait of the harsh reality faced by those who depend on increasingly scarce natural resources and adverse socioeconomic conditions. For many indigenous peoples living in coastal areas, riverbanks, lagoons, or wetlands, fishing is not only a means of subsistence, but the central axis of their identity, culture, and way of life. However, this ancestral connection is constantly threatened by environmental, social, and economic challenges that make their existence, in many cases, truly difficult. Before dawn, indigenous fishermen prepare for their work. Their days begin with the first rays of sun, when the waters are still calm and the world seems peaceful. They board their makeshift boats, often hand-carved canoes, and venture into rushing rivers or the open sea, facing unpredictable and often dangerous weather conditions. They do not have advanced technology or powerful engines. They rely on paddles, handmade nets, and their vast knowledge of the natural environment, passed down from generation to generation. Fishing, far from being a simple activity, requires physical strength, endurance, and a deep knowledge of nature's cycles. Fishermen must distinguish the movements of the fish, interpret the currents, read the sky, and anticipate storms. A mistake can mean the failure of the day, or worse, the risk of losing their lives. The work is hard, the hours are long, and the reward is often insufficient to cover the basic needs of their families. Inherent dangers of nature are compounded by problems arising from environmental degradation. Pollution of rivers and seas caused by industrial discharges, pesticides, and urban waste has drastically reduced the quantity and quality of fish. Large dams and hydroelectric projects alter the reproductive cycles of species, while industrial fishing, with its trawl nets and sophisticated technology, depletes fishing grounds and leaves little for artisanal fishermen. Climate change, with its droughts, floods, and changes in water temperature, adds another layer of uncertainty to an already precarious existence. In many communities, poverty is a daily reality. The income generated from fishing barely suffices to acquire essential products: rice, oil, flour, and when possible, some meat or vegetables. Access to basic services such as health, education, and drinking water is limited or non-existent. Children and young people often have to leave school to help their parents on the river or coast, perpetuating the cycle of exclusion and lack of opportunities. Discrimination and abandonment by the authorities further worsen the situation. The voices of Indigenous fishermen are rarely heard in decision-making spaces. Their rights over territories and natural resources are ignored or violated by external interests, whether fishing companies, tourism projects, or extractive activities, such as mining and oil exploitation. Despite international treaties recognizing the rights of Indigenous peoples, in practice, protection is weak and threats are constant. The health of fishermen and their families is also at risk. Prolonged exposure to the sun, humidity, and insect bites promotes the onset of skin diseases, infections, and respiratory ailments. Access to medical care is scarce, and health centers are usually far from the communities. When serious illnesses strike, the chances of treatment are minimal. Women, although less visible in the collective imagination of fishing, play a fundamental role. They are the ones who process the fish, salt it, dry it, sell it in local markets, and manage the household. Often, their work is neither paid nor recognized, and they have to bear the double burden of work on the water and at home. Additionally, they face situations of violence, discrimination, and lack of access to sexual and reproductive rights. Despite all these difficulties, the fishing Indians keep their traditions alive. The rituals of gratitude to the water spirits, the dances and songs that accompany the work, the respect for natural cycles, and the sustainable use of resources are an essential part of their worldview. The transmission of traditional knowledge, such as net making, canoe building, and reading the signs of the river, is an act of cultural resistance against homogenization and oblivion. However, the pressure to abandon fishing and migrate to the cities is increasing. Many young people, disillusioned by the lack of opportunities and the depletion of resources, seek a better life in urban centers, although they often only find more poverty and uprooting. The communities are emptying, and with them, languages, stories, and unique ways of understanding the world are lost. Faced with this reality, some communities have begun to organize themselves to defend their rights and seek alternatives. Through cooperatives, associations, and alliances with social and environmental organizations, they fight for access to fair markets, the protection of their territories, and the recognition of their traditional knowledge. Intercultural education, participation in governance spaces, and dialogue with other social sectors are strategies to build a more dignified future. Living as an Indigenous fisherman means facing uncertainty, poverty, and discrimination day after day. It is resisting adversity with dignity, preserving the memory of ancestors and the legacy for future generations. Above all, it is a reminder of the urgency to protect the cultural and ecological diversity of the planet and of the historical debt that society owes to those who, from the banks of rivers and seas, nourish not only bodies but also souls and entire cultures. Across the vast and diverse coastline of India, millions of people depend on the sea for their livelihoods. For generations, fishing has not only provided sustenance but also shaped the culture, traditions, and identity of countless coastal communities. Today, however, Indian fishers face a wave of unprecedented challenges that threaten their way of life, and by extension, the food security of millions more. In recent years, the pressures on these communities have intensified. One of the most immediate and visible challenges arises from the geopolitical complexities in the region. In January 2020, a significant diplomatic breakthrough occurred when India and Bangladesh agreed to the mutual release of fishers detained for inadvertently crossing the international maritime boundary line. This agreement was more than just a political gesture. It was a humanitarian act that recognized the precarious reality of those who venture out to sea, sometimes straying into foreign waters in pursuit of dwindling fish stocks. For many families, the detention of a breadwinner can mean months of uncertainty, financial strain, and emotional turmoil. The release of these fishers not only brought relief to hundreds of households, but also highlighted the need for ongoing cooperation and understanding between neighboring nations whose people share the same waters. Yet, diplomatic efforts are only one part of the puzzle. Climate change has emerged as a relentless adversary, reshaping the very environment that fishers depend upon. From 2015 to 2023, India experienced a staggering 77 instances of flooding. These are not merely numbers. They represent lives upended, boats destroyed, nets lost, and entire villages forced to rebuild time and again. Artisanal fishers, who constitute the backbone of India's fishing sector, are particularly vulnerable. They often lack the resources to recover from repeated disasters. With every cyclone, every unexpected storm surge, the fragile balance between the ocean and those who harvest its bounty is pushed further out of reach. In response to these mounting threats, the Indian government has made notable efforts to support the sector. In November 2024, a package amounting to nearly 5 billion rupees was approved with the aim of bolstering the fishing industry, particularly targeting traditional and small-scale fishers. The funding is intended to improve infrastructure, provide better access to markets, and ensure more resilient livelihoods in the face of climate adversity. While this initiative has been welcomed by many, the reality on the ground reveals a patchwork of progress. Implementation of support measures remains uneven across the country. In Kerala, for example, the construction of the Vizhinjam International Seaport, a project intended to boost economic growth, has brought unintended consequences for local marine habitats. Mussel divers, whose livelihoods depend on the health of the underwater ecosystem, have found themselves at a crossroads. Even as compensation packages are offered, the ongoing decline in marine resources raises deep concerns about the future. The story of these divers is echoed in fishing communities up and down India's coast. Economic development and conservation must go hand in hand, or else the very people meant to benefit risk being left behind. Another acute problem is the scarcity of key fish species. Sardines, a staple in the diet of millions, and a mainstay for small-scale fishers in Kerala, have become increasingly scarce. This shortage has led to rising prices and deep anxiety among retail fishers, who struggle to meet local demand and maintain their livelihoods. The causes are complex: overfishing, changes in sea temperature, and altered monsoon patterns all play a role. But the result is the same. Communities that once depended on the regular, reliable harvest of sardines are now forced to adapt, sometimes turning to less sustainable practices or facing the prospect of leaving the trade altogether. The story of India's fishers is not just one of hardship, however. It is also a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and the enduring spirit of coastal communities. Time and again, fishers have adapted to changing circumstances, whether through new fishing techniques, the adoption of cooperative models, or community-driven conservation efforts. Yet, as the challenges mount, the need for outside support has never been greater. What does real help look like for India's fishers? It begins with policies that recognize the unique vulnerabilities and strengths of artisanal and small-scale fishers. Financial aid, and infrastructure projects are important, but they must be accompanied by measures that safeguard marine ecosystems, regulate commercial overfishing, and promote sustainable practices. International cooperation, like the recent agreement with Bangladesh, should be deepened and expanded to ensure that cross-border tensions do not add to the burdens faced by ordinary fishers. Climate resilience must become a cornerstone of all support efforts. This means investing in early warning systems for extreme weather, providing access to affordable insurance, and developing alternative livelihoods for those whose traditional ways of life are rendered untenable by environmental change. Women, who play a critical but often overlooked role in the fishing sector, from net making to processing and selling, should be at the center of these initiatives, ensuring that support reaches all members of the community. Additionally, the voices of fishers themselves must be heard in the halls of power. Too often, decisions that affect coastal communities are made without their input or understanding of local realities. Empowering fishers to participate in policymaking through representative councils, cooperatives, and partnerships with scientists can lead to smarter, more effective solutions that balance economic opportunity with environmental stewardship. The challenges faced by India's fishing communities are daunting, but they are not insurmountable. With targeted support, genuine collaboration, and a commitment to sustainability, it is possible to chart a course toward a future where both people and the ocean can thrive. The fate of millions depends on it, not just those who go to sea each day, but also those who rely on the ocean's bounty for their daily bread. As we look to the future, the story of India's fishers stands as a call to action. Their resilience and determination deserve not just our respect, but our concrete support. By working together across borders, sectors, and communities, we can help secure a better tomorrow for those who have always lived out in harmony with the sea.